So we are finally at the end of Power Book 2 Ghost Season 2, and this season has leveled up in so many ways. We've seen Tariq in jail, we've seen how Ghost put certain things in place with his letter to Tariq in case he ever got caught with the homicide, to Yaz being adopted, and now we come to hopefully the end of his trial, but not the end of his issues. We've also seen a lot of issues with the Tejadas, with this Tejada split, which started with Monet wanting out of the game, to Lorenzo being released from prison thanks to Diana. We then start to see more character development from Diana, Drew, Cane, and Monet, all doing their own things, and doing what was best for themselves. The secret was of course revealed by Diana, which definitely shook up the whole family. But now we're gonna see if Monet has what it takes to outsmart Dante Spears, and by the promo images, it seems like Drew and maybe Lorenzo will be involved as well. But by the end of episode 10, we should expect some death that us as the audience will feel, and some character returns and them setting up key storylines for season 3, which I think will be this. So I'm gonna run through all the new images as we run through this video, but let's have a look at the synopsis for Love and War, and it reads, Tariq refuses to give up on his loved ones, while he must help Monet to save her own family. Monet, finally seeing the whole board, must move quickly to protect her family from Mecca. So that's the synopsis. So let's have a look at Tariq first, because he will never stop fighting for his family, and what's left of it is Yazoo's adopted, Grandma is still in rehab, and Tasha in Witsec. And if we're being honest, it is all because of Tariq. But ever since episode 1, he's been after this phone call with Tasha, and they've definitely hinted at it a few times. And I do think once Tariq's trial finishes, which I hope it does in episode 10, I think we're going to hear that conversation between Tariq and Tasha. And if we do, I really do wonder what Tasha will say to Tariq, because I'm sure she's heard everything on the news about Tariq being arrested, about the double homicide. She's probably so worried about what happened to Yaz, because she doesn't know anything. So it's going to be an interesting conversation if we do hear it. But with Yaz, I do think Tariq knows that she's better off left with this family who's away from the game, away from the streets, and her being somewhere else where Tariq's enemies can't get to know about, because Yaz was Tariq's biggest weakness this season, which Monet did try and exploit. But on his case, we're going to see Davis McLean defending Tariq, and Jenny Sullivan determined to put him away for both Jabari and Ramirez's murder. And there's a few questions. Do they have this new eyewitness, and who is it if they do? And what will Brayden say when he gets up on the stand? Because we all know he's not a snitch, and he's only getting up on the stand because he wants to protect his brother Trace, as well as protecting Tariq, Cane, and the Tejadas. I think we can expect Brayden to show his loyalty, but as I mentioned before, he knows 2-Bit, so I do wonder if he could name drop him. And this is also another image from episode 10, with Tariq on the phone at the courthouse. But what gave Tariq the advantage in this case was Rashad Tate's help, after he gave him the photo from Brayden's father's album. And he really does look smug in this image, because he's probably got Rick Sweeney's seat, and we're yet to see the fallout from the picture, and whether it does have any impact on the Westerns. And will they now give us a storyline where Rashad Tate either goes off into his own spin-off influence, or will he stick around on Power Book 2 Ghost? So I do think this question is going to be answered in episode 10. But sticking with Tariq, what about his relationship with Effie? Diana doesn't seem like she's in the picture, and Lauren definitely isn't. And Effie really does look like she's in love, something which she promised not to do. And she even said to Cane in episode 9, I'm my own woman, I'm nobody's girl. But the way she dealt with Lauren and her admitting to Tariq is too late. She's already attached, and just look at Effie's facial reactions when Tariq talks about Lauren. You can tell this is someone who really likes Tariq. But let's move on and look at some of the new photos for episode 10. And let's start with this. Why is Kevin Whitman looking into the known associates of the Serbian network? Because this is the first time we've seen or heard anything of the Serbs since Power. Has he found some sort of connection and link? And is this why Blanca Rodriguez could be joining the task force as a regular for season 3? Because of her experience and her unfinished business. Because she is someone who's very much Cooper Saxe-like, bending the rules to get justice. Because she is very determined. But the Serbs are from Chicago, so I do wonder if this is a bigger story which ties into Chicago with a potential crossover in mind with Power Book 4 Force. So it is definitely something I think they could be setting up for season 3. But let's move on and talk about probably one of the biggest storylines of the season, and that's the Tejada split, the secrets and lies, and how everybody seems like they're going to be involved in taking Mecca down. And what is important is this bag. That Mecca's stuff inside, it's got all the passports, his snitch papers, money, and probably a lot more. And it actually makes sense as to why he killed the chef, because he was probably pissed at the fact that he went into his room to look for his piece. So maybe Mecca thought that the chef could have at some point seen the papers, so he had to kill him, as well as keeping Cane manipulated. So that's just another observation and a perspective to the chef kill. But this bag, it seems like it's found its way to Drew, And maybe this is why Lorenzo was telling Drew in the trailer, "Are you ready to do this?" with Drew saying he's down, because maybe Lorenzo is in on the plan as well. And this is another image from episode 10, which is Monet meeting Lorenzo at the bar. And this is the first time they're seeing each other since the secret was revealed about Monet's relationship with Dante and Zeke being their son. Now of course, Lorenzo was far from happy, and rightfully so. But what he doesn't know that his connect Mecca is Dante Spears. And I'm sure at some point in episode 10, it has to be revealed in a conversation between Monet and Lorenzo, because we also see Monet being back at home for the first time. So are all the Tejadas in on the plan to take Mecca down? So with that being said, Drew's got Mecca's bag, but he also seems like he's meeting Ev. And is this the moment where either Drew does what he needs to do in killing Ev, or will he get caught in a crossfire? Because Courtney Kemp has teased a few deaths to come in episode 10, and Ev is definitely high up on the list for me. And also because Lorenzo knows he needs to be deaded for Drew to really concentrate on the game and the family business. It's the only thing which is connecting him to this fantasy life, because notice how Ev told him he doesn't draw anymore in episode 9. So this is the final piece to Drew turning into a cold-blooded savage, which brings me onto this image and teaser. And many of us were wondering if this was Trace or Brayden, and a spoiler alert is now in session, because the identity of this person was revealed in the UK-based trailer for episode 10. So if you don't want to know who this is, now's your chance to turn off this video. So with that being said, let's get into it. So in typical Power fashion, it's none of them, and they showed this was Carlito, who we saw in episode 6. This was Kino's right-hand man, and it seems like they're going to start off working together. But Carlito and Drew, they're going to end up beefing, which ends with Drew pointing a gun in his direction, only for Cane to step in and stop him. And you can see Mecca's bag in the background. So was Carlito trying to steal Mecca's bag and double-cross Drew and Cane? Let's wait and see. But he is definitely going to feel Drew and Cane. But with all of the Tejadas, Tariq, and possibly even Lorenzo coming together to bring Mecca down, will Monet succeed with the plan? Because it definitely won't be easy. It's going to be very difficult to bring someone like Mecca down, because he's someone who grew up in the military. He was also sent to Georgia, where he trained soldiers himself. He probably knows all about the art of deception and betrayal and loyalty. Hence why we went through the theme in one of my videos this week. So will Mecca see Monet and the Tejadas coming? And how does he plan to counter if he does? And will he survive? Because the synopsis tells us that Monet will need Tariq to protect her family, and she's going to try and save her family from Mecca. So will Mecca have his own plan up his sleeve? And will he actually survive and go back on the run, or be killed? It probably is what Cane and Tariq are talking about in this scene. So that brings me on to death predictions, and we've already gone through Ev and Mecca. But who else isn't safe is Zeke and Trace Weston. Those are the other two characters that I really don't have a good feeling for. But Courtney Kemp said we are really gonna feel this death, and I don't think we'd care if either are killed. But whoever dies, Zeke, Mecca, Trace, or whoever else, I think the manner in which whoever is killed could be the reason why we really feel this death. So I do think it's gonna be a tragic death with whoever it is, and one which will definitely be heartbreaking. So drop your death predictions down below, and drop your predictions down below on who you think will be returning, because I do think it's about time 2-Bit came back. There's also Blanca Rodriguez and maybe Tasha in the phone call. But drop all your predictions down below for everything involving Tariq to Brayden, Effie and the Tejadas, and how you think season 2 is gonna finish. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.